Hello there, you're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to be talking about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
We will also be doing our 2025 box office draft and giving out our top 10 most anticipated films for 2025.
We have some news. The Chinese animated film Ninja 2 has the craziest legs of all time. It has made $1.3 billion already in its first 2 weeks, and its third weekend is looking like it'll be over $250 million in the third weekend alone, meaning that $2 billion is in sight.
This is insanity. I just don't know why this one has struck such a chord, but it is going to be massive. It's about to break into the top 10 all time. It's going to end somewhere in the top 5 all time, possibly, based on how this is going. So,
Yeah.
crazy stuff there.
It is in the running for top 3 of the year.
Exactly. This is insanity. But, of course, Chinese films are not eligible for the box office draft. So, this one would not have been able to be selected. But imagine that if you were able to be like, yeah, I think this one's going to go all the way. Truly insane. We might already have had our Top Gun Maverick for the year, and it's not a film that we can choose. So crazy stuff. Let's go into our box office breakdown for February 7th to the 9th. Dogman retains its top spot, 13.8 million.
Heart Eyes with 8.3 million.
Love Hurts, 5.8 million.
Mufasa the Lion King, 4 million.
Companion with 3 million.
One of Them Days, 2.8 million.
Becoming Led Zeppelin, 2.5 million.
Flight Risk, also a 2.5 million.
Sonic the Hedgehog 3, 1.7 million.
And rounding out the top 10, Moana 2 with 1.6.
And the box office predictions for the 14th to the 16th. Captain America Brave New World is hitting theaters. A potential contender for the box office draft. It is eligible. So, what do you think this one might get in its opening weekend?
I'm thinking it'll be probably close to 100 million. Maybe like 90 million.
There you go. So the MCU is still able to crack those 3-digit openings. So we will now see whether it ends up on one of our rosters and if it will make a difference with that, whatever this opening turns out to be, and whether it'll have the legs to sustain it. So, going into our 2025 box office draft, some rules. We will each select 5 films to be on our rosters, hoping that the cumulative total of those 5 films will be greater than the other host. And if so, you'll be crowned the winner of the box office draft. This is our 5th time doing it. The stakes are high. You have won 2 in a row. I have won the first 2. So we're going to see in this 2025 year a little bit of a tiebreaker. We'll be able to come out on top per usual. Since the pandemic, we had to install some rules here. The wild card rule, we are able to drop one film from our roster and replace it with a film that has yet to release. And again, that can only happen once, but you have the ability to do that or choose not to do that at all. And then if there is a shuffle in the release date, if things change and one of the films on your roster gets booted out of this year, then you will have to make a replacement pick within a month or so. So that will, again, force your hand there if you are struck by terrible luck and a Dune Part 2 situation happens. So we'll see if that comes around. Again, less likely since coronavirus and a writer strike, an actor strike is not on the horizon this year, but anything can happen. So we will see.
Indeed.
And then The first pick is determined by a coin toss. This is going to be possibly the most consequential coin toss that we will have in any of these box office drafts.
Indeed.
So,
Ryan,
shall we go into it?
call it. I have the coin ready. The digital
All right.
coin.
I'm going with my huge. I'm going with heads.
He's going with heads. The coin has been flipped. It is heads.
Let's go! Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
man. This is a
That's
big hit
amazing.
for me. This really sucks.
That's awesome. That's a weight off my shoulders because, as you know, as we were trying to find the time to figure this out, I did not do nearly as much research as I normally do. And I did not have my final selections in place, even to when we started recording. I was like, I do not know what I'm going to do. So if I don't get that coin toss, I'm going to just be, flying by the seat of my pants. And I still kind of will be, but makes things a whole lot easier. And I have
It's going to be
quite a
rough.
comfy cushion.
I'm going to have to change up my game plan here. This is going to be rough.
Yeah. Did you have a game plan? Because I was frantically writing like the minutes before I joined of like, okay, if I win, here's what I'll try. If I lose, here's what I'll try. Maybe that'll do something. But
I think because you won the coin toss, I'm going to have to make some riskier picks to try and pull off a miracle here.
For sure.
But I'm definitely not feeling good already going into this, having lost that coin toss. Go ahead, Ryan. Make your first pick.
So my first selection is no surprise, although we will be ending the box office draft and the box office show. If this gets kicked out of 2025, I will be ending it all. But my first selection is going to be a film that comes out right at the end of the year. None other than Avatar, Fire and Ash. Big Jim ready to deliver his third in the monumental franchise that has delivered only $2 billion plus grossing films. So I'm expecting an easy $1 billion grosser.
Mm-hmm.
I had said last time, I was like, Avatar, again, people are doubting it left and right. I said $1.5 billion floor. This time, I'm going higher. $2 billion floor.
I think
We're
that's
hitting
solid, yeah.
$2 billion with Avatar, Fire and Ash alone.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm feeling good. Feeling very, very good.
As you should. I'm going to make my first pick. I'm going to choose a movie that's also coming out later in the year. Zootopia 2.
Excellent choice. Had to be the runner-up. We'll talk about that a little more, but definitely a very sensible pick.
Mm-hmm.
My next selection is going to be Jurassic World Rebirth.
Good choice. I'm going to shake things up and skip down my list a little bit to make my first kind of tough choice here. A little riskier. I'm going to choose Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic.
That is a very smart choice. We'll go into that more, but yeah, definitely could be the Top Gun Maverick of this year. We'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, that could do great, could do nothing really at all.
It's definitely risky.
I'm going to go with Wicked for Good.
Good choice.
Very solid, reliable,
Good choice.
Grossing film here. So yeah, I feel comfortable that I can just have that. It's going to do what it gets. No surprises. I'll be happy.
I'm going to make another risky choice here. I'm going to pick the Minecraft movie. I was a little hesitant about this one because the range I put on it is very, very large. I could see it bombing. I could see it taking it away.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to have to wait and see.
I 100% agree with that. My next selection, because again, I'm seeing your game plans here. You're going for all these risky picks, which could pay off.
Mm-hmm.
They very well could pay off with high ceilings. And so, do I now want to cut you off from that?
Go ahead.
Take something that I got room here. So I could go with something that could put me out ahead even further, or it doesn't really add too much to my total, but it, won't affect me all that much. Or do I want to go for something that I want to support?
You have the room to play here. You can pick one that you can root for. Make it a little more fun for you.
That's true. That's very, very true. But then that lets you get a possible selection there. So I don't know. I don't know what your final selections are. I think there's one more, and I'm comfortable taking it from you.
Go ahead.
That's like a high ceiling. I'll go with Lilo and Stitch.
All right, good choice. Good choice. I am going to combat that by picking. I think I should go a little riskier again. I think I should just make all risky picks. I'm going to go with How to Train Your Dragon.
Interesting. Very interesting. Then that brings me to my final selection. And I can try and do something that, although I guess yours is maybe shaping up to be that way too. Um, but historically, superhero films have been the driving force of these box office drafts.
Mm-hmm.
And in recent years, that's been less and less the case.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's only one major heavy hitter that was chosen last year. And then on a wild card, I added Venom to my team. So this year, we have much more options. MCU coming out with 3 films, DC with just 1. And again, DC films have not delivered, I think, once a single time.
Yep.
Even Joker 2 last year was, we thought, going to be a surefire hit, and not at all. So this could be a disaster, but considering the entire future of a whole universe is hinging on it, I think they're going to do whatever they can with the marketing to make people show up in the theaters, and then hopefully the quality will be there and it won't collapse, and it'll be able to get a decent, 600, 700 something million. So I'm going to go with Superman as my final pick.
All right. That's a good choice. I am down to 2 here left on my list that I could pick from. One of them is a favorite of mine that I think I could be happy rooting for, and that I'm guaranteed to have a pretty solid base here at the lower end of my choices. I could go for that one, or I could go for a very, very risky pick. However, I think because I've already kind of risked it a lot, I think looking at my list, I'm going to go with something safer, something that I know is going to make a good chunk of money, and not the most chunk of money, but is pretty much set at a very, very tight range that I know pretty much how it's going to do. I'm going to pick Mission Impossible Final Reckoning.
All right. And there we go. So let me go ahead and jot down these on my end here. But how are you feeling, Dylan? Talk us through how you're feeling. Definitely
I
on
feel
the back foot.
decent, actually. I feel okay. I think you obviously have some heavy hitters here. I think Avatar 3, Jurassic World, and Wicked for Good are 1 billion films, at least. I think you have 3 billion there easily, probably closer to 4, if not 4.5. And I think Lilo and Stitch and Superman are bigger risks. So I'm hoping that Lilo and Stitch doesn't do as good, which would force you to use your wild card earlier in the year. And you're kind of running low on options there for what's left. You do have a couple MCU films and a couple other films you could pick from. But I think forcing your hand to do that earlier is better. But I think I will ultimately. I think a lot of my films, having them come out earlier in the year is better, because then I can use my wildcard earlier too. I have Minecraft coming out in April, which is the earliest of the films. It'll be the first one out on the draft. I have How to Train Your Dragon coming out in June. I have Mission Impossible coming out in May. So I think by June I will use my wild card if I feel like I need to. Obviously, it's slim pickings right now, but there are MCU films coming out that are kind of solid picks that I think could do good. Fantastic Four being one of them. And there's a couple other films that I could choose from that I will remain quiet about, as not to give you an advantage of any kind. But
Sure.
I still am shaking a little bit. You do have a lot of heavy hitters: Avatar, Jurassic World, Wicked. Solid picks. My only hope is that Zootopia 2 blows out of the water, Michael blows out of the water, Minecraft blows out of the water in the same way that Mario Bros. Did. I think I will know by April. If Minecraft bombs, I think that is going to be a very clear indication of where this is going. So we will know in 2 months kind of where this is going to end up. So my only hope is that the risks I took will pay off, or that Avatar gets pushed back.
Indeed. I want you to know that was my had I lost, like I shuffled things again. The top three were what they were. Like those were the very obvious big three that we're gonna have for the
Of
year.
course.
But then yeah, the Minecraft, Lilo, and Michael connection was the next stuff because that's the one we have no idea how it's gonna do. Could do incredible, and hopefully, we'll see how it shakes out. I do want it to be interesting. I'd like for some of them to do pretty well, but I think even then, if they do extremely well, I think my roster will be able to balance it out. Led, of course, by Avatar. So let's go one by one through our selections and discuss what we think it's gonna get worldwide. So Avatar: Fire and Ash, third film. Again, what can you say?
I think you're going to make $2.5 billion on that.
2.9 billion with re-releases for the first Avatar, 2.3 for Avatar 2, made into like the top 3 films all time. Or at least top 5. This one, again, $2 billion grosser for sure. And if China keeps it up with this, obviously it was their spring festival. It's like the busiest time for going to the movies over there, but they love Avatar. I'm hoping they will come out just like they did for Ne Zha 2 and push this possibly to 2.5 billion. So I'm hoping for great things there. Zootopia 2, your selection. Talk us through it.
I think seeing the success of Inside Out 2 and the success of the first Zootopia, I think it's clear that Disney films that have sort of a notoriety in that 2010 era, getting a sequel so far down the line is very, very. It's very common nowadays that films get their sequels very quickly, and this is another example of a movie that took quite a bit of time to get a sequel out. And all the people who were kids when the Zootopia came out, like you and I, are now adults who will buy tickets. A lot of people who were younger at the time are now much older and may have kids of their own that they want to take to see Zootopia 2. I think the appeal is there in the same way that the appeal for Inside Out was there, and I think Zootopia will crush $1 billion, and I think it could even reach 1.5 in the same way that Inside Out 2 did. I think it's going to blow out the Thanksgiving weekend record set by
Moana 2.
Moana 2.
Yeah, it's very possible. Like Zootopia 2, it's 9 years after the original, which is the exact track that Inside Out 2 had 9 years after the original. So again, all that nostalgia from kids, young adults around then, and the parents as well. They'll come back this time around for Zootopia 2. It has worldwide appeal. The first one made $1 billion. So Inside Out made 800 million and nearly grossed, 850, 900 million more than that. Zootopia, if it is extremely high quality, breaks out in the same way Inside Out 2 does, then, and it's also in the holiday season, Inside Out 2 was very impressive. That was summer. This would lead into the holiday season, so it could have really long legs. So it's very possible that it could get 1.5 billion, which is crazy because Inside Out 2 just smashed that record by Frozen 2, and now Ne Zha 2 is going to demolish that record. So Zootopia could get near $2 billion. And if so, then that evens things a lot more than I would like, because I would just need a couple of duds and you would need a couple of over performances from your other films, and then you're in spitting distance. So I think $1 billion is locked for Zootopia 2, almost regardless of quality. Then if it's like extremely, extremely high quality, it could do 1.6, 1.7 billion.
It could have legs all the way through the holidays, which is what I'm really hoping. In the same way that Moana 2 kind of had some good legs. It's still, it's February and still making $1.5 million a weekend.
Yeah.
And it came out Thanksgiving weekend.
Again, it had a huge beginning and then sort of like some steep drop off for those first couple weeks. But again, just because of the legs, holiday legs, it was able to get to $1 billion. So yeah, Zootopia 2, that'll be the scariest member of your team for sure.
Absolutely.
Jurassic World Rebirth.
This is a good pick.
Dinos on my team. All 3 Jurassic World films made $1 billion.
Yep.
So they had diminishing returns, of course. It was like 1.5 billion and then slowly got to Jurassic World Dominion just barely crossed the billion, but it did get there. And obviously that was hopeful for your roster when that came out and it was on your team. This one, I don't know if it'll do a billion.
I'm thinking it will, but the only way that this is like if it crosses a billion, this is bad for me. I think the only thing that could be considered a flop for Jurassic World for you is if it makes less than 900 million. I think that will be a good edge advantage for me. If it makes closer to 800, that would be so sick for me. If the drop off is that, because there is going to be a drop off from the first film. I still think it cracks a billion, but even more barely so. But I could also see it ending around 950. If it drops all the way down to 800, I'm looking pretty good.
Yeah, I think without a doubt it'll still hit 800 million, so it'll still be a huge hit, like one of the biggest of the year. So either way, that's fine. I need a solid, reliable thing that just put more distance between me and you.
It's still a very good choice. Again, that would have been my next choice had you not taken it.
If I get 3 billion from Avatar and Jurassic World alone, which I will, then that's a big gap. I'm happy, like I'm thrilled. So it'll do that, and then possibly we'll get a billion since it has. Again, I think the quality there will be a step up because Gareth Edwards is directing it, and it has at least a fresh new cast. So we'll see if that rejuvenates things. And I think they did it too soon after the Jurassic World trilogy.
I would agree.
But despite the second Jurassic World was pretty divisive, people still came back for Jurassic World 3. And so I think it's just one of those things that, like Fast and Furious, like it was on par. Like Fast X was on par with F9, despite, again, both those films not being good at all. It's just one of those that are going to be like critics proof. People just want to go out, big summer blockbuster fun with dinos. Yeah. So I think it'll be a solid hit, regardless of whether it cracks a billion or not. It'll do what it needs to. For Michael, though, so your first big mega wildcard pick, the biopic on Michael Jackson, King of Pop. So talk us through that decision. What are you hoping this gets? What's the range on this?
Look, man, they're still popular. Looking at how Bohemian Rhapsody did in 2019, how good that did, how excellent it did, and that kicked off the whole biopic reign. I think Michael Jackson is more popular than Queen and Freddie Mercury worldwide. I think that the worldwide numbers will boost this movie like crazy because people love Michael Jackson. It's an official biopic. He's being played by a relative. There's like a lot of love and effort being put into the project, and people do just really enjoy musical biopics. And this being such a notable figure in music history, maybe perhaps even the most popular single artist of all time, I think it's got a big range for me. 700 million.
You're hoping for a billion though here.
I'm hoping to crack a billion. Pick. I'm really hoping to crack a billion here. That would be really good. If I could break a billion, I think I'll be in a better spot. If Zootopia 2 hits $1.5 billion, that puts me at 2.5. That's close to year 3 with Avatar, Fire and Ash, and Jurassic World. If I'm within $500 million spitting distance, I think all I need is a couple of good wins for my lower films and a couple of duds for you, and I think I could close that gap. So that's what I'm really hoping for, because I know I can't reach $3 billion with these two movies. It's just not going to happen. But if I can get as close as I possibly can, all I need is for some of these other risks to pull off, and for you to have a flop with Lilo and Stitch and Superman, and that would be wonderful. I think I could close the gap.
Right. So here's a couple issues here. Everything you said is correct. Again, definitely the biggest global superstar in music history. And his music is still extremely popular and played all around the world. However, as far as music biopics go, Bohemian Rhapsody is a complete aberration. It was the only film, I think, biopic film that's gone over 500 million. It made close to $1 billion. It was 900 million something.
This is true, yeah.
Got a huge amount of success. It was also pre-pandemic, so it did start that wave of, Motley Crue and Elvis and Elton John and Whitney Houston, and go down the list. Every single artist, I'm sure, has a biopic being made or in the works or has already been made. But all of those films, despite some of them being extremely popular and well loved, even if they're still working today, Elton John, if they had a tragic end to their career, Whitney Houston, or if they were also at one point like the biggest superstar, at least in America, probably the world as well. I think with that concert that was cast around on satellite, Elvis. He is the next highest grossing biopic film after Bohemian Rhapsody, and he only made what, like 350 mil, not even 400 mil, something like that.
This is the risk. But I would say that Michael Jackson is significantly more of a worldwide power than Elvis is.
I mean, again, let's look back at that that concert that was around the world. But certainly nowadays, I mean, he's much more recent and his music is played more. Again, Elvis is one of those weird cases of like everyone knows him, but his music's not really played on the radio, whereas Michael Jackson still is. The other issue is, again, despite a lot of these people being controversial figures, I mean, in the Elvis thing, they sort of glossed over him, you know, trying to end up with a 14-year-old. And I guess he did since they got married and everything. But Michael Jackson's whole issue, legal issues, all the sexual assault and pedophilia stuff, that could, I mean, it's obviously going to come up once the film's press tour begins.
Sure.
And everyone's going to be curious about what lengths do they depict that in the film? Do they touch it at all? Do they mention it and then try and show like Michael as, you know, a very sympathetic figure in that whole thing, completely denying like all the accusations and all that? Certainly, I mean, they're not going to, it's made by the estate of Michael Jackson and his family, so they're not going to put him in a bad light in any way. So that's going to come up. And that could stop people from going and seeing this film and wanting to support it in some way. So I think that could be another thing that limits you. A thing that I heard as well, there was some reporting on this. I don't know if it's been followed up on at all, but apparently they have included some of those legal cases in the film, like in the third act. There was something about that, but because it was in breach of contract or whatever settlement they had made with like the kid and the family to not ever depict that story, they're supposedly doing reshoots right now to change the whole like third act of the film.
Yeah. I still think, even with all the controversy, I think people will still pull up to see the movie just to see the music and to see like the performances and to see the execution.
I think it'll still be
also hit. That's why it's
drowned out.
It is definitely a risk.
It is a big risk, but it does, again, it has that massive ceiling. It's the biggest superstar in the world. Yeah. People could want to go out and see it. Again, his death, it was like the craziest thing. I mean, I think we talked about it before, but like everyone knows where they were when Michael Jackson died. So he's huge for sure. And different generations love him. But that controversy could limit it. Biopics aren't always the greatest, even if it's still like a huge superstar. Again, everyone knows Elvis, at least domestically, and that did, you know, better than the other ones, but it wasn't like even Bohemian Rhapsody level in the States. And then it could get delayed if they are doing those reshoots and everything. I mean, we'll see how well they do. They got 9 months, I think. I guess 8 now. But yeah, we will see. Wicked for Good is my next selection. It made $700 million. A lot of that was powered by domestic audiences. So I'm not expecting a huge growth. Again, worldwide isn't going to really do anything too big, but I think just the phenomenon that we saw this past year is going to carry over. They're going to hype it up for the big conclusion. So I'm expecting another 700 mil performance.
Yeah, I think that's solid.
So it'll be a nice, solid, reliable hit that I can just relax about.
Yep.
For you, Minecraft, early in the year.
I think a bigger risk than Michael, man. I'm really worried this thing's going to fucking tank.
Because it looks bad. Because we've seen the trailers, and so we're like, oh no.
Because live action video game properties have not been doing well. Borderlands tanked. And so I'm really worried that will happen to this. I think the only thing going for me is that Minecraft is a significantly more popular game than Borderlands globally. And I'm really hoping that it will have like a Mario Bros sort of effect, and people will go see it just because it is Minecraft and they want to see a Minecraft movie, and kids will want to go see it. regardless, if it tanks, I think it was worth the risk. I think all I can do, since you have Avatar, is to take risks like this. I can't make sure, like, Wicked for Good was on my list higher than Minecraft, but I skipped it because, I mean, I could be guaranteed 700 million, sure, but I could take the risk with Minecraft and potentially make even more than that.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm going for. I'm really going for things that could be global hits and could just run away with it and really make a lot of money. And I'm, fingers crossed, hoping that Minecraft is. But if it's not, came out in April, early in the year, I can use my wild card. It's fine.
Right.
I will find a way to come back.
I would have done the same thing. It has, again, that Super Mario Bros. Like, that's what we're chasing here. It's a massive video game property, beloved the world over, still has a huge fan base, even though it came out, again, who knows how long ago, over a decade. So it's very possible. Again, it's just the quality thing. Which Super Mario Bros. Wasn't like the greatest movie in the world, but it was decent. Minecraft,
But I think it had such an advantage being animated.
Could be, and yeah, it was also animated, so it was easier to overlook certain things. Like, I don't know how many people will want to rewatch Jack Black and those other actors, Jason Momoa, just walking around on a green screen in the Minecraft world. So
exactly, that's what I'm worried about. Live action is definitely a risk.
And Stitch, another animated property being turned into live action. Although, of course, our homeboy Stitch going to be animated still. I'm hoping that it's going to do really well. Like, I think it could have a strong, breakout effect to it, because
it could be great.
It's just one of those things that, again, it's like a cute little alien. Like, that is just something the whole world can like get behind and enjoy. So I think it has that global appeal. Again, the original is very much beloved by people in our generation. So I think the nostalgia factor will definitely drive people out to it. And it's a kid's film, so families are going to go out and be able to enjoy it. It's in the beginning of summer, opening right next to Mission Impossible 8, I think. So we'll see how that affects things. But June is pretty open for the most part. So I think it'll have good legs until July rolls around. So I'm expecting 500 million at the least. And then I think it has room to go up to 800 million. And it also has, I mean, there's a minor chance, but I think very realistic that it could have that huge breakout and go up to 1 billion. But, live action Disney films lately, they've been hit or miss. I don't know the last one that we've had that really was like a monster and like getting over 1 billion, like the ones pre-pandemic. So we will see. We'll see how it goes. But
we'll see.
At minimum, I think 500 mil is solid. Will do what it needs to do, and I expect possibly 700 million. So
I agree.
I'm happy with it.
How to Train Your Dragon was the next one on my list. I put this a little higher than Lilo and Stitch. I think it's a bit safer if you ask me. It's coming out in June. Big summer blockbuster. It looks fantastic. The trailers look really great. People seem very hyped for it. The trailers keep coming up everywhere. It's being advertised like crazy. I think this could run away with it. I'm really hoping it does. I hope it does like late 2010s kind of numbers for live action remakes. That would be really, really sick. It looks very, very faithful to the original, and I think people just love How to Train Your Dragon, and I think they will come out and support the film. And I think it's timed perfectly with the release of the theme park here in Orlando, the How to Train Your Dragon Land. I think they're tying it into that. I think they're going to push. Universal is going to push really, really hard to make How to Train Your Dragon as popular as it possibly can.
For sure. I think this is a great pick. Like, this is one that on my, like, if I win, like, I wanted it high up there. Even if I lost, I was also going to want to, like, the coin toss, I was going to try and have it on my roster because from the trailers, like, it does look spectacular. And I think all the things you mentioned there, it has going for it. Like, people are always going to eye roll and be like, oh, another live action adaptation of an animated thing that was perfect and doesn't need to be remade at all. And then again, is it going to be like a shot for shot remake? I haven't seen the originals, but I'm seeing that criticism, or I guess just observation, that it is very similar to how the animated film was like shot and framed and everything. Yeah. So all I'm hearing from that, at least, is like it's going to, make people that saw the first film be very happy because it's not going to change too much. And if you haven't seen it in 15 years when that original one came out, it'll be experiencing something familiar, but it's slightly different because it's live action. But you're gonna be happy because it's gonna hit all those same beats. And then people that didn't watch it because of whatever reason they just missed it, or they don't like animation because they think it's for kids, they might be more inclined to see this big epic adventure with dragons. Like that definitely I think can appeal to a big range of people.
For
So
sure.
I think everyone that was a fan of the animated films, they're gonna swallow their criticisms and go and see this film. And then a bunch of people that never saw the original trilogy, I think are going to come out and see it as well. So
Mhm.
what do you think it'll get? Put some numbers to it.
I'm really hoping like 700. That would be so
700.
sick. If it gets even closer to a billion, even better. Anything over 700 I think is a solid choice. For fourth place on my roster, anything over 700 would be incredible for me. Cuz
Yeah, I
again,
think.
any little bit to get closer and closer to you, just to bridge that gap.
Yeah,
And
I
on the
think.
hope that some of your movies bomb is all I have. It's the sliver of hope. I'm the underdog here. This
Oh,
is the
for sure.
sliver of hope I have.
Yeah, I think 500 million. I think it can definitely get that, which is on par with what the animated films
Mm,
got. And then I think there is some room to grow. Like I think it will expand, and so yeah, I
really
think
hoping.
700 mil would be a decent prediction there. Like I
Yeah,
think that's reasonable.
I think so.
Um, so yeah, all right. And then my final selection, because I want to root for it, because I'm like, please let DC number one get their stuff together, and then two, let Superman be beloved again, because that again the superhero that started it all. It's like become so minor and irrelevant. It feels like in the age of MCU and all this other stuff going on. So I
Mhm.
want Superman to matter again. I also think the core of that character is going to be very resonant in times like these. So I'm looking forward to a positive, hopeful version of Superman. I think a lot of people will be. I think it'll um, be something that draws in everyone again around the world. I think it'd be a big global hit. So I want to believe in that. However, DC has had a string of straight up flops lately,
Yeah, they
like
have.
just terrible flops aside from the Batman. And even back when DC wasn't a tainted brand and it was coming off of the Dark Knight trilogy, Man of Steel, although it was poorly received, so that's part of why that may have happened. It only made like 600 mil, 650 mil. So this one is going to be fighting against the reputation, the poor reputation of all the previous DC films, and a Superman iteration that, nothing against Henry Cavill, but just it wasn't iconic. Um, So I don't know how much that's going to affect things, even if Superman, like the film itself, like James Gunn did incredible with it, it could still be negatively impacted by just all the weight that it's having to shoulder
Fingers
from
crossed, man.
the bad taste of DC.
It's the only
So
way I can win here is if Superman bombs.
I don't think that, because again, I still would have a, although it's very slim. We'll talk about some of those other options that are available out there, but honestly, once we get past summer, like there's not much left for the
Yeah.
taking. So if it does bomb, it'll put me in a bad spot. But I don't think it'll bomb. I believe in James Gunn. I believe in Superman. I'm hoping. I'm praying. I want to believe. So I think 500 mil, it'll be able to get that, and then who knows? 800 mil, I think is very possible if it just hits all the right chords and brings people in that want to feel that like nice, positive feeling that Superman should bring. I think it can happen. So I'm gonna
Hmm.
say I'm gonna put money, not money, but I'm gonna put my faith in the roster behind Superman to round it out.
Yeah.
850 mil. That's what I'm saying. That's my hope. My hope
We'll
prediction.
see, man. We'll see. My last choice was Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. The other Mission Impossibles usually end up between 500, 600 million, and I
Yep.
think this one's gonna do about the same. Maybe probably a little more because it's the final one. I think
Yeah.
they can get people in theaters to see the final installment, Tom Cruise's last action outing, pretty much, as he's getting way too old to be doing this shit. Uh, I think it'll just make 600 million. I think that's solid. I think if it does that, that's a pretty solid number five.
Yeah. It it disappointed me in the draft a couple years ago.
Hmm.
It got swallowed up by Barbenheimer, so
Yep,
that's why I hesitated to pick it because I do think Superman has a higher ceiling than Mission Impossible
I think that's
8,
true. Yeah.
but Mission Impossible 8 is much more reliable. And then I could have gone with like, okay, no superhero films in my roster.
Hmm.
There's no Marvel films in either of our rosters, but
Yeah.
we do still have, at least I do. You have no superhero films
I feel
at
good
the
about
moment.
that. I feel good that I don't have to root for them, honestly.
That's crazy.
I just don't believe in Fantastic Four that much. I feel like it's the MCU has been very kind of unreliable as of recent, and I think
Yeah,
Fantastic Four will be one that maybe doesn't do so good unless
no
it's like
Captain America 4 either. Comes out this
uh
weekend, and you said no.
I think it will do good numbers, but I don't think it has. I want to take risks. I need to take risks.
True.
I think Captain America is going to end up around 500 or 600 million and then stop because I think it's going to have a heavy drop off on next weekend. I think it's going to be one of the biggest MCU drop offs we're going
Yeah,
to
the
see.
quality is not there apparently. So I
I think
think,
I think it's going to have that huge front load that we're seeing. We said 90 million, but I think the steep drop off is going to be like 30 million next weekend.
yeah. So 500 mil, I think is like that would be a win if it's able to get to 500 mil. I
Yeah,
think
and I need more than that. And I think Mission Impossible will make more than that.
Thunderbolts also off our list. That
Dude,
one we're
it's going
expecting
to
what
tank,
the
dude.
Marvels type numbers,
Yeah,
200, 300
that
mil.
one's going to tank. And I think Fantastic Four, I mean, it could be really good. Could do really good. People are excited about it. People have been excited. People have been asking for the Fantastic Four MCU treatment for 10 years, but
Hmm.
I wasn't sold by the trailer, and I don't think other people are either. And so that might be too risky if you ask me. Although it
I
is a
think,
contender if I have to do a wild card, I will say.
yeah, I think it'll be the strongest of the MCU films this year. I think
Hmm.
it can get to like 600, 700 mil, but that one seems like it'll be very dependent on quality.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. But yeah, I just don't think like Superman and Fantastic Four, even if they're great, they just have so much baggage that they're trying to overcome with their respective franchises at the moment that I just don't think they'll be able to get near a billion
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
or cross that. But one other film, possible Top Gun Maverick, that neither of us brought up. You didn't go for it, which I was waiting to see if you would, by the same director, Joseph Kosinski, and has a acting superstar legend Brad Pitt in the role, main role. F1.
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
This is one of your potential wild cards if Minecraft falls apart.
I'm not gonna say anything.
It's one of those again, I thought about it, like F1 and Michael are the two big ones this year where it's like these could be the unexpected massive heavy hitters,
Hmm.
but I wasn't willing to put anything down on that. Although it was if I lost, I think I would have selected it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's no need to since I am victorious with the coin toss and I have Avatar on my team.
Indeed.
So let's go one by one again. I'll just say what our list is. So first off, I picked Avatar Fire and Ash.
I picked Zootopia 2.
I picked Jurassic World Rebirth.
I picked Michael.
I picked Wicked for Good.
I picked Minecraft.
I picked Lilo and Stitch.
I picked How to Train Your Dragon.
I rounded out my selections with Superman.
And I finalized with Mission Impossible Final Reckoning.
All right. There we go. So we'll see how things develop. The first film to come out is Minecraft. Is that right? In April.
This is true. It'll be out in April.
And then we have a whole bunch of things in the summer, and then Wicked, Michael, Zootopia, and Avatar to close things out. So it could be very close, and we could be holding our breaths in those
It'd be
final
so
2
cool, yeah.
months.
It'll be
That'd
fun, yeah.
fascinating. But all right, now let's quickly go through our 2025 most anticipated films. We can do a top 10 here. I don't have mine in any sort of list. I was just jotting things down over time in this document
Just
here.
run
And so
through
I'm
yours
just
real
gonna
quick, yeah.
I'm gonna pick a couple here and there. Um,
Just do the whole thing. Just run through the whole thing real quick.
so again, no particular order, but Running Man from Edgar Wright, starring
All
Glenn
right.
Powell. I mean, again, they're just on a game show where the whole shtick is to hunt down this one guy and take him out. That seems like a great premise. And then
Mhm.
with Glenn Powell, Edgar Wright, I think they're going to be a great duo. Warfare from Alex Garland, who's like co-directing it. This has a great cast. Very notably, not a lot of Americans in the cast though, which I think is funny. But again, I guess Alex Garland, and so we wanted to keep it more UK based. But this seems like a very intense thriller war action film, so I think that'll be one to look out for. Also, keeping with Alex Garland, 28 years later, fantastic trailer. I have not seen any of those other 28 days, months, whatever later, but I will be catching up so I can watch that film. I think it'll be great. The new Karate Kid film. I've been watching Cobra Kai to catch up, and now I'm back in the karate spirit, so I'm excited for that. The new PTA film, which has he, because he always does this with his like working titles, and you never know what it's actually going to be called. But the Battle of Bakhtan Cross, right?
The current title is One Battle After Another.
Okay, so he did. This man,
Yep.
always keeping us on
the Battle of Bakhtan Cross is no longer the title.
So that one starring Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, come on, that's got to be on the list. And I think it comes out on my birthday, so that'll be fun. A nice little birthday movie. The Materialists from Celine Song, who did Past Lives, my favorite of that year. So I'll be definitely checking that one out. The Lynn Ramsey movie with Jennifer Lawrence called Die My Love. Very excited for that. Hamnet from Chloe Zhao, the wife of Shakespeare, dealing with the death of their son. Count me in. And then, again, I mentioned it there. I want to root for Superman. I'm hoping that we can get a solid iteration of that character on the big screen that'll last, be able to connect with people. So that's on the list. Avatar 3, of course. I've always been a defender of the Avatar films and Big Jim and his vision. So I'll be rooting for that. And then Bugonia, Lanthimos' new film with Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. Again, I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of Kinds of Kindness. You liked it much more than I did. But, I mean, Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons are just sensational. And Lanthimos just lets them do very crazy, weird things. So I'm a fan of that. And the premise looks very fun. It's like two conspiracy theorists are kidnapping a CEO, played by Emma Stone, I believe, because they suspect her of being an alien. So I'm down for that. That seems very fun. So yeah, I think that's just my scattershot list here. So how about you, Dylan?
It's crazy. 8 films that you mentioned are not on my list. So we have
Really?
a very different most anticipated. Very, very different.
That usually always happens, though, in our most anticipated. So let's hear it. What do you got?
I'll run through real fast. First off, I have 5 honorable mentions that didn't make my top 10 because I did rank my top 10. Tron Ares, very much looking forward to it. F1, Avatar didn't make my top 10, but I am looking forward to it. Del Toro's Frankenstein movie. Looking forward to that. And Hand of Dante by Julian Schnabel. Mostly because Martin Scorsese will have a starring role in that. And I think that's kind of awesome to see him live action acting in something. Will be really cool. Sure. All right, number 10. It's kind of a cheat. It's a dual answer. It's because I had difficulty picking. It's 2 movies that I know nothing about. I just like the filmmakers involved. It's Materialists, which you mentioned, and Eddington, which is the movie coming out for Ari Aster. And I don't know anything about either of them. I love both of those artists. They both have come out with movies recently that I really liked. And I will be very, very excited to see both of these movies. I just couldn't decide for that 10. Number 9, Marty Supreme. We've got half of the Safdie brothers paired up with Timmy Chalamet. It looks really, really funny and awesome. It's about a ping pong player, I think. Very, very much looking forward to it. Know nothing about it. Very excited. Number 8, Begonia. Yorgos. Come on. You know I love Yorgos. Number 7, one that I'm surprised didn't make your list. Mickey 17. Finally coming out.
I mean, that's you would have had it like number 1, but it's because we've put it on our list so many times.
It is falling down to number 7 because I'm like, dude, I've been waiting so long.
I am very excited. I do want to see it, but it's just like
it's number 7.
This should have been out a year ago at least.
It dropped for sure. Number 6, Spike Lee's Highest to Lowest. The remake of High and Low by Akira Kurosawa.
I am very excited.
It's going to be so good. Starring Ice Spice. It's going to be so good. Very much looking forward to it. Number 5, one that I'm also surprised you didn't mention, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning.
I'm excited for it. I'll definitely be there watching it. But as you recall, I was not the biggest fan of Dead Reckoning Part 1 as much as you guys were, at least. I had some issues, some concerns. But
I hate you.
I'm ready to watch him run and save his friends like always. I'm excited.
Number 4, No Other Choice by Park Chan-wook. This is a dark comedy thriller from the man who made Old Boy, and it is about a man in Korea who is looking to secure a job, and he decides the best course of action is to eliminate the competition. Eliminate. We all know Park Chan-wook. We all know what that means. It's going to be very, very dark and eerie and cool. I think it'll be a good return to form to the Vengeance trilogy. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be really, really awesome. Number 3, The Phoenician Scheme, Wes Anderson.
Yo, okay, that one I did totally miss. I am excited for that.
There it is. You're gonna miss one.
In it. Yeah, especially after Asteroid City and everything.
Oh yeah,
with it. I can't wait.
I'm so pumped. Number 2, Sentimental Value. It is a movie by Joachim Trier. He is the man who directed The Worst Person in the World, which is like up there as one of my favorite movies of that year. Drive My Car was my favorite movie of that year, but that was very close. Number 2 or 3. Absolutely fantastic. Loved it very much. And Renata Rensby is returning for that movie, along with Stellan Skarsgård in the cast. Renata Rensby plays a daughter of Stellan Skarsgård, and her sister are mourning the loss of their father, or of their mother, when Stellan Skarsgård, their father, returns, and they have to reconcile their relationship. I just love Worst Person in the World. I think it's one of the best movies of the last 10 years. I'm looking forward to seeing them come back and make another one. And number 1, most anticipated for a movie of 2025. Paul Thomas Anderson, baby. One battle after another. It sounds awesome. It's Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, huge, giant budget, insane action thriller. Like a PTA return to his youth in the sense of like throwing out like crazy action stuff like Magnolia and Boogie Nights, things like that. Hard Eight, bringing back that sort of California, very much 70s San Fernando Valley sort of action. It's going to be really, really good. I'm really, really hyped for it. And they have done some preview screenings of like early cuts, and it has been said that Sean Penn is incredible in it. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It is going to be so, so, so awesome.
All right. There we go. So definitely that PTA film on both our lists: Phoenician Scheme, The Materialist, Begonia. So those will be the must-watch films. We'll see where they end up.
Dude, it really feels like all the big artists, since they skipped last year, they're all coming out with stuff this year. Dude, I in particular am just feasting, bro. Safdie Brothers, Ari Aster, Park Chan-wook, Bong Joon-ho, Yorgos Lanthimos, Joachim Trier, Wes Anderson, Spike Lee. This is my year, baby. This is my shit. I'm so pumped.
It'll be an exciting one for sure. We don't normally do like the TV thing, but I just want to point out Andor coming back. Very excited for that.
Severance just came back. I heard the season 2 is even better than season 1. I'm gonna get there once it's done. I will watch it. That will be good.
And then we'll see later down the line. We might do some episodes on this, but The Bear also ending this year. I started the first season of that, finished the first season, so I'll be continuing my watch. Squid Game is wrapping up in the summer.
There are potential rumors that Ted Lasso may come back, even though it's supposedly wrapped up in season 3 was the finale season. So rumors that it's coming back may be outdated, maybe incorrect, but there are rumors that they're trying to like tie down Jason Sudeikis to coming back and other cast members to do another season because of how popular it was. I mean, it's by far, I think, the most popular Apple TV series. And so bringing it back would just bring in so much money to Apple TV.
For sure. And then White Lotus season 3, which is about to start this weekend.
Hype.
So I'm pumped for that again.
I love White Lotus.
And then what else we got? What else is going on there? Again, Cobra Kai is obviously finishing up. I'll definitely be watching that. That'll be nice.
There's got to be like a new show coming out, right?
Last of Us Part 2. I guess just the second season, but it'll be adapting that. Again, I'm just excited for the conversation. I really enjoy our like discussions whenever we bring Sean in.
Gotta get Sean back, yeah.
Saying that
I gotta replay the games, at least the second one.
Exactly. Yeah, as far as new shows, again, it's harder,
Yeah.
to find the ones that are gonna like shock you. Like no one has The Bear on their radar when it first drops.
Yeah, but with
So
so many shows ending, I mean, this has to be the start of like a new era of television. With Succession ending recently, with all those comedy shows ending, Barry, Ted Lasso, The Bear,
Hacks.
Hacks is coming to an end soon, probably. There's got to be some new shows coming up.
Yeah.
HBO is going to have to reformat some new shows together. Apple TV, Netflix, Cobra
got-
Kai's ending.
I know The Industry is one that
Okay.
has been slowly growing a big fan base and critical reception. So
Mhm.
that could be a big emergent one in the next year or so. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the TV landscape changes in the next couple years. But
Yeah, I just miss Succession.
I know. But hey, we got Andor finally at long last.
Yeah. Dude, I keep seeing the video of Tom in Succession interviewing the news anchor and asking him if he's a Nazi.
The
with
Nazi guy,
questions.
yeah.
That shit keeps circling around because it's so relevant now.
Just checking the ledger here, and
Says you
seems
read
like you're
Mein
short
Kampf?
a few million.
Says you read Mein Kampf? Twice. Didn't miss something the first time around. Huh?
Very
Didn't
good.
quite get it.
So yeah. But all right, there we go. So our
Yep.
2025 draft has been completed. We know it's on our roster. Barring any delays into next year, I am very happy. I think I'll be able to finally just rest. Although 2 years ago, this was the same case where I was in a very good position and then Barbenheimer struck. So we will see if some combination of Michael Kraft to Train Your Dragon will come in for the win.
I enjoy being the underdog, I think. And so, yeah, I think I'm looking forward to this year's box office draft. I think if I can come out with a win over Avatar and Jurassic World, I think that makes me the GOAT. 3 in a row, ending with a win over Avatar and Jurassic World, I think that makes me the GOAT.
That would be incredible.
Yeah,
Unlikely,
being the
but
underdog
incredible.
is kind of fun. So we'll see how this goes.
Nice.
All right, that is all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
Our main title theme for the show is Sundown by Joseph McDade.
If you like the show, please give us 5 stars on the podcast app you're listening to. Be sure to tune in